your heart with your eyes. I want to see you. I want to see you high and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. Pour out your power with love as we sing, holy, 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 holy. I want to see you. Open your eyes with your heart, Lord. Open your eyes with your heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you truthfully, really see you high and lifted up, shining in the eyes of your glory. Pour out your power in love as we sing, holy, holy, holy. I know you know this. We're going to sing, holy, holy, holy. Let me hear you. Holy, holy, holy. Perfect. Again, holy, 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 holy and whole. Yes. Give me some more. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, 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 holy and whole. One more time. Holy, holy, holy. We're feeling holy, holy, holy. Holy, 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 holy and whole. See you shining your light. We want to see you in your glory. Pour out the power and love. Sing it one more time. Holy, 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 holy. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, 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 holy. We want to see you. Let's take a moment for prayer as we come together today. We know that Spirit is in this place. Spirit is with us, beside us, inside us, surrounding us, always, always, always. And for that, we should never forget. We know that we are each a child of that one Spirit. So we are each brothers and sisters. So let's not forget that either. No matter what the outside looks like, we are all loving beings inside. We are all part of that one universal law, that one beautiful love. And for that, we are grateful and thankful. And we are so blessed to have all the people here who make this come together each Sunday, and the ushers and the hospitality and our AV person And our music, of course, Miss Karen, we're always happy to have her. And Mr. Russell Dennis, who's coming up shortly. We are so blessed to have him back with us, looking good and going to deliver a beautiful message for us today. So for all of this and the beautiful weather outside and so much more, we are so grateful and thankful as we come together and say, and so it is. Okay, we have some words of inspiration today for the 5 invitations. Cultivate, don't know mind. Okay. From Barbara Kingsolver, a memory is a complicated thing, a relative truth, but not its twin. And from Nisargadatta Mahara, wisdom tells me I'm nothing. Love tells me I'm everything. Between the two, my life flows. I like that. And from our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, the belief in the life apart from good is a dream from which we must awake if we are to taste the waters of reality which flow from the source of life.
This has been a wonderful month with the 5 invitations, what death has to teach us about living fully. As a reminder, the first invitation is don't wait. What are we putting off? What are we waiting for the perfect condition and for the table to be set perfectly before we actually do? Before we step up and do that thing that's calling us, but we're afraid to take that next step because it might not work out. We're guaranteed to learn something from it and to grow from it and to expand from it. The second invitation is welcome everything, push nothing away. Whether that's an annoying driver in front of you or a life-threatening disease, because it's there for your evolution. The third invitation is to bring your full self to the party. We can't cut off those aspects of ourselves that we think are unflattering, and it's like, yeah, you guys don't need to know about that. We'll just keep that under our hat. We bring everything, warts and all. As spirits having a human experience, it's a little bit messy. The fourth invitation is to find a place of rest in the middle of things. Michelle Matrano was here to talk about that. Life is chaotic. It's crazy. We never know what kind of twist or turn it's going to deliver, where we're going to land at any given moment. But, we need to be like Herbie. And some of you come in, Herbie was there, just greets you with love, wagging tail, and he, even if it's only been a day or two or an hour, he just comes back like, where you been, man? I missed you. So good to see you. What if we can greet whatever shows up in our lives like that? Rain or shine. That would probably take a little bit of doing, but it's a goal worth going for. And what is a place of rest? It's actually stopping in the middle of all that chaos and just taking a deep breath and just knowing deep inside that God is all there is, and you have a connection. Therefore, you're connected to all of creation. There's no separation. There's no duality. There's that one. And when we remember this, we can go back into whatever it is that we're doing, knowing that all the power in the universe that's on our side is at our backside, and that there's nothing we can't accomplish. The right people, the right things, everything falls into place. It's in divine order. Spirit's timing is impeccable. And we're looking at cultivating don't know mind. The Buddhists call it beginner's mind. Zen Master Suzuki Roshi says, in the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities, but in the experts, there are very few. What's required of us is a high level of openness. Openness with a childlike wonder. This childlike wonder and surprise is what characterizes don't know mind. The ego is centered in what it knows. We rely on this ego-based mind to take us through our lives. And, its purpose is to keep us safe. But it oversteps that. We rely on that. We forget that the reliance that we have is on that source that we call God. That's where the reliance is. When we forget that, we have a few struggles there. The mind has to be open. Thomas Robert DeWar, a mind is like a parachute. Doesn't work when it's not open. Openness is very important for us, This knowledge that we get stuck in. There's nothing wrong with knowledge and experience because this is what helps us to move through this human experience. The over-reliance on us can get us. The knowledge is there, the experience is there. But there's a higher consciousness that we have to bring into these things, into living, into what we do. That means we face situations, we face things about ourselves that we may not like. And greet them the way Herbie greeted us when we came in, to the best of our ability. And the best of our ability will get a little better as we go along. So we want to evolve into what it is that we came here to experience. What's our purpose? How do we move into that? We can't move into that with the resistance of ego coming at us, because it'll make us refuse to look at things, examine things. I was pretty sick for a few weeks. And as I said, whatever comes brings you an opportunity to kind of look at things. I've been through this experience with this disease before. I was 14 years younger last time. And I had such a resistance to the idea of people helping me. I thought I'd rather, hey, if I can't take care of myself, the hell with it. Rather check out. I don't want to be a vegetable. I don't want to be a burden. It was so difficult. I had no choice. Because, there's this thing called surrender, Now, I like to think that I can make surrender kind of a choice as I'm going through. But more often than not, surrender is a choice that's thrust upon us. We absolutely have to have our rear ends kicked before this really takes a hold in its greatest and strongest form. Had to surrender. No choice. But surrender is one of those things that brings a whole lot of freedom to us. We can be brought to our knees easily or willingly. A lot of times it's somewhere in the middle. Sometimes it's unwillingly. But it is all for our own evolution. It's for our growth. We face these things, whether we want people to know things about us or not. I've had a lot of quiet time where I've been able to cultivate some don't know mind, just really sit and figure out what sort of, and you won't ever hear a practitioner ask you this when you come to them for support, but there's a certain level of conditions in the consciousness that sets the table for these things. We're responsible for what happens to us, and we have all the power at the universe at our disposal if we can access it. It's a question of where our level of consciousness is and what's going on inside. So the question I've been posing myself is what sort of things in my consciousness set the table for this disease to return? I'm responsible for it. That's not a pleasant thought, but it's true. We can bring about good, or we can reject good or kind of push it away. So I'm having to sit with that. I like to think I'm a pretty spiritual guy, but I'm still having this human experience. I still got some warts, and I still got some things to clean up. And you know, I'm here today, and if I stay, I'll be more than happy to do what I have to. I'm working on looking at that. That's what I need to know. I can't serve you fully until I have the answers to that and step away from those things and step into what I'm supposed to be doing. Step into that place of consciousness. Now, when people come to me, I look around that. I don't look for any of that. I look at that perfection that is there with the understanding that, yeah, we're spirits having this human experience, and we're rough around there. This is messy. All of it is messy. And the ego builds up this wall, and we think we know all of these things. So we have to cultivate don't know mind. It's returning to that place we were at when we were children, when we were open and just curious about everything. So Max Dupree says we cannot become what we want by remaining what we are. It's not always easy, or there's a lot of fear around digging really deep at what's really there, but we have to do it. Nothing's going to happen, nothing's going to move, nothing's going to shift if I'm unwilling to do that, or until I'm willing to do that. So, being made in God's image, we're all perfect, whole, and complete by divine design exactly as we are. I got to spend the day with my goddaughter yesterday, and we had really good discussions. And she's a very devout Christian and just a remarkably moral and beautiful woman. She's turned out to be just remarkable. And one of the things we were discussing with a various faiths, and I said, we start out from a premise that you're perfect, whole, and complete by divine design, like you are. And there's never anything to fix. What there is that precise expression that each of us in our unique ways were sent here to be. And it's stepping into that. And life can present some obstacles, but we go through these challenges, And it's about coming into our authentic selves and releasing the false sense of self that ego builds over a lifetime. Fanny Bryce says, let the world know who you are, not who you think you should be. Because sooner or later, if you're posing, you'll forget your pose. Then will you be? Everything that's taken place is moving us to that unfoldment of where it is we need to be. Some of that stuff is very unpleasant, scary, and uncomfortable. But remember our second invitation. Welcome everything, push away nothing. It's all here for our unfoldment. Our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, says God is always God. No matter what our emotional storm or what our objective situation may be, there's always something hidden in the inner being that's never violated. That is the real you. That's what's never violated. That's that fundamental idea of God that's in there, that watches all of the crazy thoughts, actions, feelings, and beliefs, and just says, oh, that's crazy. We are none of those things. We're also not what we do or what we have either. These things are not us at the root level, at our soul level. You know, we create suffering for ourselves three ways, and I've mentioned this before. We start by pushing things away that we don't want to look at. Let's not pay any attention to that. Don't let anybody see that. It's a terrible way to move. The second way we create suffering is by grasping. Well, I'm going to feel better when I get the new girlfriend. I'm going to feel better when I got a bigger house. I'm going to feel better when I get a new car. I'm going to feel better when my boss is nicer to me. And this is a mistake that's so common with humanity, trying to live from the outside in to make us whole, to give us peace. Or as some of my friends like to say, we're trying to fill a God-shaped hole in our chest with other things. Doesn't work. I've tried it, and persistently too, and it doesn't work. Our peace has to come from the inside. It's all inner work. It's connecting with that. So it's connecting with the best of ourselves and moving in the direction that we were sent here to move, whether we resist that call or not. Ernest Holmes, our founder, also says, within us is the unborn possibility, a limitless experience. Ours is the privilege of giving birth to it. Yeah. Our third way of suffering is attachment. I'm not always a fan of change. We kind of like the things. Once we get things where we like it, okay, that's perfect. Let's just stay right there. Doesn't happen, When we attach ourselves to the moment, to persons, to things, and wanting the things, we have to remember that Pema Chodron, the Buddhist nun, says that everything's impermanent. Nothing is solid. Things fall apart, come back together, and they fall apart again, and they come back together again. Don't know mine gives us the flexibility to just kind of surf with that. It's like, okay, don't know what's coming. We're going to be like Herbie. We're going to greet it to the best of our ability and try to be good hosts to whatever shows up. I've got to let go of what I think I know, because I'm not going to have any room for new experiences if I insist on hanging on what I think I know. Where's my life at? Is it where I want it to be? It's where leaning on what I think I know has gotten me to this point. If it's not quite up to par, I've got some work to do. Simple as that. But the weight and the force and the limitlessness of the universe is right there if I open myself up to it, if I can tap into that. I have to release something if I want to have something new come in. Lao Tzu says, if you want to become full, let yourself empty. If you want to be reborn, let yourself die. The old beliefs, the old thoughts, the old ego-based sense of self always has to be chiseled away at and chucked to the side because it's in the way of what I was sent here to do and be. It has to go. When our minds are made up, we close off any possibility of something new, This traditional thinking that we had has to come to an end. And so what we understand about don't know mind is it doesn't have an agenda, it doesn't have an angle. It's not trying to dodge anything. It's not trying to formulate anything. It's simply there to help us explore what's possible. If I can live in a state of mind where curiosity comes forth all the time, it can help me deal with one of my good friends that I call judgment. It comes along, it's very harsh on the self in the form of an inner critic that talks to us. Therefore, it's not very nice to other people either. Curiosity, if I can exercise curiosity in place of judgment, and maybe ask, well, how did this come about? Not by asking it because it doesn't serve anybody, it doesn't serve anything, it doesn't bring about any good feelings. So judgment's a killer. It will ruin any and every relationship we have with anybody and any chance to have a peace of mind with ourselves. And curiosity's the cure for it. Don't know mind opens up new worlds. And so, what is it that I should really think? Well, here's another quote by Ernest Holmes that's very useful when judgment wants to move in. God in us, through us, as us, can only express according to her own nature, which is perfection. If I look at someone and I'm complaining about them, I'm complaining about God's handiwork, complaining about myself too. And I certainly don't know better than God. Certainly don't. So this is important to keep in mind, Yeah, and we always have memories, The scariest thing in the world is to think about coming to a place where we've lost all our memories. My father had Alzheimer's, which was pretty traumatic, because looking at him, lose absolute control. I mean, he couldn't even control his bodily functions after a while. The ego mind loves control. It wants to control everything. It will hijack your spiritual practice. There's nothing that it doesn't want to control. But this idea of seeing these people scares us because it's like, I don't want that to, especially if it's a parent and you're thinking this could come down the pike here. And remember, back in 2011 when I was going through treatment, if I can't, I'd rather check out. This is how strong the sense of ego is. It just wants that control. But my job is to just be relaxed with that. What do I control? Well, my own thoughts, my own actions. Anything outside of my hula hoop, it's not mine. I don't get to do anything with it. But it's being open. Don't know mind allows us to just be with the idea that there's no control, that a solution will present itself, that possibilities will come forth, that we don't have to have any agenda. We can be with these folks that have Alzheimer's or dementia. Just be with them. We don't have to do anything. See what comes up. That's what Herbie would do. He's a lot smarter than we are when it comes to that. Because this comes to him naturally. There's nobody to impress. Herbie is just Herbie. We're the only creatures in God's universe that pay for mistakes more than once because we're smarter than the rest of them. Don't know mind gives us a way to learn from these mistakes. If life hands you lemons, make lemonade. If it gives you cow dung, put it in your garden. Epictetus says, it's not what happens to you, but how you react that matters. Circumstances are presented to us from time to time. What do we do with them? We have a wonderful way of life and a practice that we learn here. We're given wonderful tools. I can't always remember to apply them. Sometimes I need to go to somebody and say, I'm a little tweaked out here. I need a hand. I need to have folks like you remind me who I am from time to time to pull me out of that ego sense of self that tries to protect me, but also creates all sorts of problems. So always remember, we're not what we think, say, do, or remember, what we have or what we do. We're bigger than that. When you cultivate, don't know mind, what happens is you develop awareness. And it empowers us to connect through our stories. When we sit and we tell our stories to one another, this is how we see that connection. This delusion of separation evaporates because it's through our stories that we connect and see those connections and see that divine thread that runs through all of life. We come to understand that, yes, we're all in this together. And that's a pretty wonderful discovery, Awareness is something that is beyond our thoughts and beyond our actions. It's the inner knowing of that power, and it connects us. And a glance and a nod is often all that's necessary when we don't know mind. Those memories that we have of things, they get jumbled. Sometimes they get lost. Spirit helps us. It's kind of like somebody that goes along and cleans out your closet every once in a while because you're a hoarder and you don't want to get rid of stuff. But it has a way of cleaning things out. And those memories evolve and change over time as you settle in to more truth about yourself. And when we tell these stories, what's important is it doesn't matter whether these things are jumbled up, because they can be. But these things come out in a way that we can connect with one another in the strongest way. Saying what needs to be heard. What needs to be heard is heard, and it comes out. One of God's many talents is that he's a master ventriloquist. So Frank Ostaseski, the author of the book, says, everything comes and goes in awareness. This is the ground of who we are. The rest is just smoke and mirrors. Awareness is something that we offer ourselves when we step into don't know mind. And it's a beautiful thing. Sometimes it's a little painful getting there, but it's well worth every moment of it. And what you'll find is something in the middle of it that's far greater than you ever thought it would be. And you'll give thanks for whatever adversity you had to take on to get there. So I'd like to leave you with a couple of thoughts. This week, make an effort to approach a situation with curiosity instead of certainty. Let go of the idea this or that and step into yes and as you look at a situation this week. Ask yourself, what assumptions do I hold that might be limiting me? Please join me in prayer. We know that there's a power in the universe that makes things out of itself and becomes what it loves. We know that this power grants to all of these beings everything that they desire, as long as their consciousness is full. It will grant us anything that we are able to receive. And what we know is that don't know mind sets the table for us to receive more of this limitless bounty that's available to us and brings us to the place where we step into that great expression that we were sent here to make in our own unique ways here in the world. What we know is that awareness is the thing that brings us to a place of peace no matter what takes place in our circumstances, no matter what takes place within. We are loved and we are worthy. And we are perfect, whole, and complete by divine design, in form and substance, in every way. And we have one another because we are all connected through that divine thread that moves in us, around us, through us, as us, to bring about all the good there is. And together we will be able to create a world that works for everyone, because don't know mind will open us up to all the possibilities and the fullness of our creation and the fullness of our magnificence. I release these words in the divine law where they're already done in that universal mind. I let this go, I let it be. And together we affirm. And so it is.
This is a song about a world that's evolving, revolving, always in change. This is a song about how we feel, not what makes us different, but what is the same. the sun sets a velvet shadow, crimson in the sky. Craters turn into canyons, and mountains stretch high. Stars are sparks of silver, an echo in the night. Someone's holding their hand out, and someone's reaching out to hold it tight. There is you, there is me. I might be the daughter of the sun, you might sail the seven seas. It's not the rituals we believe in, but that we believe. Life is a golden miracle, one breath that we all breathe. I can feel the power of the ocean. I can feel the passion in the wind. We've all got our own road to travel, but we can meet in the middle as friends. I see the beauty in your way. Come on, celebrate mine. A kaleidoscope, a fusion of color. Let that light shine, shine down on you all, shine on me. I might be the mist in the midnight, you're the thunder rolling free. You know it's the good that we all reach for. We make it through with curiosity. Life is a golden miracle, one breath that we all breathe. You know it's the good that we all reach for with curiosity. I want you all to know that it's life and it's a golden miracle.